Welcome to Passioneer Magazine The Podcast, where you'll hear inspirational stories, encouraging news, and in-depth interviews with authors, influencers, CEOs, and thought leaders. Passioneer Magazine The Podcast. Bold ideas, brave pursuits, boundless inspiration. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Passioneer Magazine The Podcast. I am so excited to be talking with you, Janet, about all that you do. I was so excited to see you as a speaker for a joint event that we were a part of, and your story was so moving, and I could not wait to invite you onto the show so that others would be able to hear about this amazing life journey that you are on and the nuggets of wisdom that you can share with us. Now, before we get started, though, there may be some folks that are unfamiliar with you and the all that you do. So, first question, tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you you?
Okay, thank you. First of all, it's a delight to be with you. I am a Bolivian immigrant who came to the United States way back when I was 12 years old with dreams of a life in the United States. At first, that was the case, but later on, it turned into a nightmare because when I was 30, I lost my sight completely and my life turned upside down. My little boys were 3, 5, and 7. But what I learned through that journey is that what happens to us shouldn't affect what happens inside of us. So I made a decision that even though my blindness was unexpected and it was just horrifying, I knew that I had other things that I could work and I could use and I would put into practice to still be a mom and be successful.
Absolutely. And that is part of the reason why I wanted to have you on. Your mindset, your outlook is just so inspiring and encouraging. And I think that we need to have more people sharing, though they've had some hardships, there's still some sunshine, there's still some warmth, there's still some happiness, there's still some joy in our lives. And let's concentrate on that to help you use that to help move us forward. So I love your attitude towards life. Now, my first question for you is, how do you define being empowered? Be it that it is just as an individual, when we talk about women being empowered in their lives, how should we understand that from your perspective?
What a perfect question. I wish more people would ask me that because that's the essence of who I am. Right now, I found my life to be such a change from what I had planned. Obviously, I planned my life to be able to be a successful professional. But when blindness set in, I had to choose what is it that's going to empower me? What is it that's going to make me get up every morning inspired and ready to take on the world? And you know what it was? It was the conscious effort of knowing what to fill my mind with. And I call
Mm.
that your mental reservoir. What is it that you think about? Do you look at the circumstance as something that's happened to you? Oh, no, you can't get over that. How can that be? Or do you think that's a great challenge? I want to see what I can do with it, through it, and in spite of it. So we're
Mhm.
so empowered first by our thoughts, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I love that. I just did a talking about my experience as a breast cancer survivor. And though it is different than your experience, I think similar in that it has happened to us. We didn't really write this into our master script of what we thought was going to happen. Our lives are different because of it, but it doesn't mean that our lives are over. It was just the end to that script. It was the end to that chapter and on to a new chapter. And how can we stay positive and empower others? I love that you said that we should grow through it, not just go through it. I love that.
Yes.
Now, with all that you not only have experienced, but the all that you do, how do you stay spiritually motivated? How do you stay spiritually nourished, if you will? How does your faith help you to move forward?
Okay, well, it's a habit I developed. I use a screen reader to read my computer. So I have the Bible as one of the applications. So I can the application to open it, and I go to certain verses, and I fill my mind and my heart with God's word. So I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of people want to know what is the source, and that is for me is God's word, because I find comfort, I find strength, and you know what I find? I
Mhm.
find wisdom, because so
Yeah.
many times in life we have challenges, big and small, especially the world we're living now. So, how do we face that? If we have the wisdom to discern that, yes, the situation is not what I wanted, or the situation is so out of my control, but I do have control of how I react toward it, right? How do I respond? And
Mhm.
so that to me has been the essence. It has been the rock and the solid foundation for me to be able to know how to tackle moment by moment, day by day, in a way that is edifying, that's empowering, that's fulfilling, and has meaning. So there's my answer.
Mhm, mhm. And you said something very important there, and I think it should be something that we do if we are sighted or visually impaired, and that is start our day with God. Start our day, in the Word with a scripture. It doesn't have to be long, we don't have to spend hours and hours unless we can, but just having a little something, some type of meditation or prayer time with God to start your day, I think makes all the difference in the world. It starts you off on that positive foot.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, what are some lessons that you feel that you have learned along the way as a professional woman? You have been able to start, stop, reassess, recalibrate, move forward. You've done all of these things to get to where you are today. What are some of the most important lessons that you have learned as far as your professional career life is concerned?
Well, what I learned, Dr. Angela, is that what really goes on doesn't really have to do so much with yourself. It has to do with what you can do for others. Let me tell you a story. Some years back, I was speaking to a big corporation here in Orlando, whose name you would recognize. And after I stepped off the stage, this executive came up to me and he said, I really don't go for these motivational, inspirational talks, but you have just shown me what I've been missing. And
Yeah.
I immediately thought, somebody with that caliber of success and clout and status, what could they possibly have been missing? And then
Mm,
as I went on to speak some more and to travel, I noticed that even though you could be career-wise successful, if you don't have that sense of joy, that sense of meaning and fulfillment and purpose, there's really no success. It's just meeting goals. So that has been something that has propelled me to go forward, to have that passion for me to ignite in them, the passion that I call resilience. Because you see, I don't think in this world adversity is our enemy. It's the lack of resilience. So I'm about to write a book on resilience, from which I developed a talk that I do to corporations and colleges to let them see that there's nothing that you need to be defeated by. There's nothing that could be bigger than you if you know how to tap into that art of resilience, how to bounce back, how to rise above it. Now, you just mentioned a moment ago that you have faced cancer, and thank God you're in remission now. You're healthy, but in my case, for example, I'm still completely blind, and I still have the other tragedies that go beyond my blindness. But what is it that keeps me going? Is that desire to know that I'm going to touch the heart of that person sitting in that office or in the conference room who's being defeated and feeling so gloomy, and according to statistics, are on the verge of suicide. How
Yeah.
can I reach that person? How can I let them see that no, their situation doesn't have to dictate their steps or dictate their future? They have what it takes. They have the greatness inside of them that the world needs to see. So they need to keep on going.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And as you were sharing the story about the person who said, I'm usually not motivated by these things, but was so moved by your speech, you never know how you're going to touch someone's life. You never know the people that are in the audience who need to hear your message. I am so glad that you shared your message at that event because I believe that nothing is by happenstance, that
Right.
everything happens for a particular reason, even if we're not able to figure out what it is in our lifetimes. But so many times it's because someone needed to hear what we had to share, the lesson that we have learned or the wisdom that we are passing on to someone else. I love that. Now I'm going to look down for just a second here because you've done some awesome and amazing things. And my next question for you is about that. You have accomplished not only these things, numerous, but the Lifetime Achievement Award given by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And you have also been awarded the Latino women who make a difference. That is awesome sauce. How has this motivated you to move forward? And there's a list, and of course, it's on your website if anyone wants to visit that and they can see the long list. But those in particular for me were so inspiring. How have they inspired you to continue the work that you're doing?
Oh, those awards truly humbled me. I was very shocked to receive such a highest prestigious award. And I think what that does is just reinforces me that I am in the right journey. Because oftentimes we all have those moments, right, where we feel, well, I'm completely blind. What could I offer to these, executives in these colleges and faith-based groups that a blind person could offer? But when I see the feedback, the response, and the letters and the notes that I have touched them for them to be able to see their life differently, to be able to see the other side of adversity. It just fills me with humble gratitude. And I think through the years, Dr. Angela, what I found is that gratitude is a secret to greatness. Because when you end up being grateful for little things, for things that you encounter every day, you end up having a new perspective that for me, that keeps me going. So, I'm not going to say I'm grateful for my blindness, but I'm grateful for all the things that I'm able to do because, or in spite of my blindness.
Yeah.
So those awards, yes, I guess they just reinforce that I'm going in the right direction, right? And as I travel also across the country and outside to other countries, the feedback's the same, even more so in other countries, because they don't expect a blind person to be successful, to write books, and to have all these things accomplished. But I just want to be an example. If it happened to me, it can happen to you.
Yeah.
Just remember, what is it that fills your mind? What is it that fills your mental reservoir?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Such a nugget of wisdom there. And we do have to be reminded that we are more than just our senses and abilities. We have been given such a purpose and to make sure that we're walking in our purpose and it really will fall into place. It's amazing that people still think in this day and age that someone has to set down or take a back seat because they um, may say that they are visually impaired or that they're blind. It's like, no, people have moved past that. I mean, that was a time period where people thought that that was the best thing to do, but absolutely not. I love that you are not only encouraging women in general, but you are encouraging those that are handy able to keep being able to do the thing that they have been purposed to do. And it takes courage to step out no matter what side you're of the fence you're on. It takes courage to step out and live your life. So thank you for having the courage to continue. I think so
Thank
many people get caught in their lack, that they use their lack as an excuse.
you.
But you definitely are not doing that, and I love that. Another reason I wanted to have you on the
Thank
show.
you.
I love it.
Mm.
Now, you are an author. You have already written numerous books, and you kind of hinted at another book there. With that being said, what is the inspiration behind? I think your newest book is Now I See. What was the inspiration behind writing that book? Beautiful cover, by the way.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
You know what motivated me to write that particular one, which is my fifth book? It's that person who right now on the outside seems so successful. They're smiling, but inside they're dying only because they've not been able to overcome the setbacks, the challenges, or the maybe tragedies that they suffered in their life. And I thought, I need to not tell them how, not write a book with a sermon or write a book on how to, but I wanted to show them. So what I did, and now I see, is I pretty much related my story, but I did it in such a way that when you read it, you see yourself there. Because I wrote all the ups and downs, the nights that I couldn't sleep, the times when I received notice that my youngest son was murdered and the man responsible was acquitted. How do you overcome that? How do you face something? How do you face the unthinkable? So when I thought about writing the book, I thought, I'm going to show them so that no matter what you're going through, you'll be able to see that's how I can do it too. And not just to overcome and endure or thrive, but to truly find that deep joy, that triumphant victory that you can have, no matter what tragedy you face. So that's the I guess the motivator behind Now I See. So I teach people how they too can see their world through different eyes, the eyes of triumphant victory.
Oh, I love that. I'm so sorry to hear about your son, but being able to share that story and allowing others to grow through your vulnerability. Oh, wow, that is so powerful. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, the reason I share that particular story as well, which is one of the most tragic tragedies, obviously, in my life, it's because sometimes when you show up for work, no matter what level of a position or what a high ranking executive you are, or whoever you see in your company or college or group, there's someone there who brought with them such burdens that's really distracting them, that's really killing their desire to be productive, to perform, to be creative. But if I can touch the heart of that person to see, no, you don't have to be defeated. There's something more than your pain or your situation. There's greatness, there's beauty, there's abilities, there are gifts that you need to show the world. What a privilege it is for me able to lift them up so they can become productive and creative. Because really, like I said before, adversity is really not our enemy. The lack of resilience is, and that's why I'm going to write that book, Radical Resilience.
Absolutely. And then that'd be a reason for you to come back and visit with us, to definitely let
You
us know about that book. I love
guys.
that. And you said something very powerful, and that is, don't let the adversity be the thing that keeps you down, that keeps you in that low vibration of your life. As you said that, it made me think about the many women in particular, but sometimes the moms who decided that they were going to run for political office and be the change in their local communities or in Congress because a something happened to their child or their spouse, and they wanted to make sure it didn't happen again, or at least lend their voice to a
Yes.
positive change. So you are so right. Use that as a stepping stone to not only heal yourself, but to help
Mhm.
others as well. Oh, I love that.
Yep.
Now, what advice would you give to an aspiring author who wants to either share their personal story of victory, or simply just wants to get into the world of writing? Are there any particular tidbits or pieces of wisdom that you could share with them?
Yes, I get that question asked quite often because a lot of people want to write their story or write something meaningful. And I always say, whenever you start to write anything, you need to first focus, who is my reader? Who is the person I want to touch? Who is the person I want to change? You almost want to describe that person. Is it, are they between 25 and 65? Are they men, women? What are they facing? What are their struggles? What is it that they can't overcome? And you do research, obviously. You don't want to just write a book nilly-willy. So you do research. And when you begin to write, you have that purpose and focus. And you're writing to that person. That's where you have power. And I'm so, so blessed that the latest book, the one we just mentioned a moment ago, Now I See, has won already 2 awards. And I think only because I'm touching my readers' hearts with the
Yeah.
power to motivate them to change. That's number one. Number two, I think you need to study the craft of writing because you can express yourself with words that hold your attention, that engage you, that draw you in, or you can just words that really distract the reader. So learning the writing craft is so, so important. Sometimes I cringe when I read my first book back in 2004 and I think, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? Before I really learned the craft of writing. So that's another thing. And, begin to write possibly articles. I did that when I wrote my first story for Chicken Soup for the Soul, and it was accepted. I thought, I reached the top. I couldn't believe they accepted one of my stories. So now they accepted 33 of them. So that's a good test if you're a good writer or not. So yeah, write articles for magazines and such before you write
Yes,
your book.
I love that. I love that. Well, Janet, you have been just a wellspring of information and motivation. Thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
on and sharing your story and your life's journey, your success journey with not only our listeners, but with our viewers as well. I appreciate yours so much. Now, before I let you go, though, if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that? What's your website? Are you on social media?
Yes, I'm everywhere. If you just Google my name, you'll find me everywhere. But the quickest way, I guess, go to my website, which I got the name inspirationforyou.com. All words spelled out, FORYOU. That's the easiest way to remember for informationforyou.com. And also they can find me in the same website using my name, janetperezeckles.com. And if they visit me, they'll find a little surprise. They'll find one of my ebooks waiting for them because Contagious Courage, your 30-day journey to overcome stress and anxiety. So they get that free when they visit my website.
I love it. Thank you again, Janet, for being a guest on Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.
Thank you.